All Communications provides equal opportunities for all legally qualified political candidates in accordance with FCC regulations. If you are a candidate for public office and would like to request equal time regarding content that has aired, please contact our station directly. We will be happy to work with you to schedule appropriate airtime. For more information, please reach out to the station office. 860-456-1111.
Let's talk about it. Each Friday at this time, host Dennis O'Brien and Susan Johnson interview guests who are involved in their community. The show challenges conventional thoughts, probes for answers, remembers the past, imagines the future, and gets to the heart of the matter. Let's Talk About It is brought to you by Columbia Ford Kia, Route 6 in Columbia, Connecticut, and Gates GMC Nissan, Route 66, the Boston Post Road, North Windham, USA. Opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of WILI staff, management, or sponsors. Now, let's join our hosts with their guests and let's talk about it.
Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Let's Talk About It. I'm here with my co-host, Dennis O'Brien, and boy, have we got an exciting, fabulous show for you tonight. We have fabulous people who are busy every single day working for us here in the town of Windham. Whether it's on the Board of Education or the Town Council, they are working hard to make sure that our programs and our town run properly. And so I am just very excited because we're going to hear all kinds of new things from these wonderful guests. Isn't that right, Dennis?
That is right, but you use fabulous in two consecutive sentences, and I'm not sure that
Oh, you're not here for that. You're not here for that.
If I was a computer, I would change that second fabulous.
He wants to see what I live with. See what I live with.
The grammar police?
Dennis, no, he's a frustrated copy editor.
What I am is the control freak.
Putting that down.
my finest hours were sitting on the bench in the low bench in the probate court
now,
for 12 years.
I just want to say this show is not about you, and it's not about me. It's about our chair of the Board of Education, Lynne, and also the councilman and chair of the Democratic Town Committee, Bill Sayers. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Well, it's about them, but it's also about the people that they're helping to run in the November 4 election and possibly an issue or two.
Well, I would say that's one way to look at it, but I'd say it's about what they do. It is about them, and it's not about you or me.
Okay.
So, hey, all right, we're going to start with our chair of the Board of Education, Lynne. Tell us about what's going on with our Board of Education and some of the things that you've been doing lately that really our school systems are really moving ahead nicely.
Well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, and I just can't avoid without first thanking the voters who got out on September 30th and voted to support the Board of Ed budget and the town budget. And so finally, we can move forward knowing what we're living with as far as our budgets go. And it was a little too close for comfort from my point of view, about 25 votes passed the Board of Ed budget. So if that's a message to the people listening, every vote does count, particularly in these municipal elections. And so I want to thank everybody who got out and voted in support of the Board of Ed budget. We had some really exciting things happening at the Board of Ed level at this point. I want to acknowledge that our new superintendent, Dr. Iris Gamero, received last evening a statewide award for one of the 50 most influential Hispanic leaders in the state of Connecticut. She's a wonderful woman of Puerto Rican descent who has really lived out through her adult life the meaning of how far good education can take one. And it's taken her to the point where she became our superintendent this past July. And Wednesday evening at the Board of Ed meeting, she and the assistant superintendent shared the state test scores for Wyndham's public schools with the Board of Ed, and we'll be hearing more about it, and maybe she can come on your show and talk about it. But in several cases, we were topping not only the school districts that are in our alliance districts that have sort of the same demographics as us, but in several instances, and I mean several, it's not just one or two, we are in the top quarter of the state among all the districts in our performance. And that's a big, big deal for the town of Wyndham. And I want to send a message out to the voters and the people in this town that Wyndham Public Schools are on the rise. And if you have children in the district, you should be hearing more about this. And if you are considering whether you want your children to go to school in this district, I would say send them here. They are exceeding expectations across the board in many areas.
That's fabulous news. Thank you so much for that report. That's really, really good. And thank you for your work and all the people who serve. And the new superintendent, and I guess this also is an impact from the previous superintendent as well.
Right. I mean, this is actually the hard work of the staff.
Yes.
The teachers, all the support staff, and the folks in central office who several years ago under the previous superintendent said, our goal is to get our scores up. And it was the center of the convocation at the beginning of the year over several years, and it's been central to the work that the new superintendent is carrying on in the district. And where there are problems, we are looking to see how we can take where the successes are happening and have the teachers and the schools that are doing so well help bring up the teaching and the academics across the district.
Fabulous, fabulous. Thank you so much. Now we have Bill Sayers, who sits on the council and has been doing amazing work there, and the council is working together on so many issues to help the town, whether it's downtown or trying to do more economic development, bringing more things to our town. Tell us a little bit about what's going on with the town council.
Well, thank you, and that's a pretty hard act to follow here. So, I will tell you this: last Tuesday night, we had a unanimous vote to support our state rep in keeping the Wyndham Regional Technical School here in Wyndham. Susan is working on some amazing ideas, and we're hopeful that will pan out. At least we know we are now on a level playing field with where the state would like to place it. So, it's good to be able to start out on a level playing field.
Hear, hear.
Yeah. So thank you, Susan, for that.
Thank you for that, Bill. I appreciate that. That was quite a great thing to see. Everybody unanimous vote in support of
the Democrats on the town council. Unanimously approved the construction of a new building at 804 Main Street. Everybody knows that. I believe that was the Chapman Block back in the day. And it's now, we've referred to it for the past 31 years as the Tin Sin lot. So that lot has been sold. We are under contract, and we're going to see an amazing new building put up there within the next year. I'm very comfortable with the developers that we worked with, and I want to thank my fellow Democrats for their work on getting this done. Thank goodness we were all there, or it probably wouldn't have passed.
It's like that lot has been like a missing tooth on
31 years
in the smile of Main Street, and it's good that we're filling it up now.
Yes, I'm glad. I'm very happy with that. Very happy with that. And we continue to do a lot of things that people don't see. We held the line on taxes this year. Next year, I'm predicting it's going to be very difficult to hold that line. But we're going to do the best that we can, and we're going to fight for the taxpayers in the town of Wyndham. We are getting gut punched by the Trump administration, and there's no doubt about it. based on numbers that I've received from meeting with very, very important people, we could see as many as 2,000 people here in Willimantic in Wyndham lose their Medicaid.
Yes.
Those are incredible numbers.
And that's not to mention the people that will lose their health insurance because the subsidies and the Affordable Care Act are going away.
If I understood it correctly, and please excuse me if I'm wrong with these numbers, but I think Joe Courtney said that a family of 4 making $85,000 could see a $31,000 increase in the cost of their insurance under the ACA.
Particularly if you're 50 or older,
Yes.
As an adult.
Yep.
They're predicting that some people may see, right, I talked to somebody the other day whose parents are going to see a $27,000 increase in their health insurance.
It's crazy. So, in other words, they have no health insurance.
Right.
Well, yeah, let me just add on to that because, the Affordable Care Act is subsidized by Medicaid up to 400% of poverty. And then the other aspect of that is the businesses that offer the Affordable Care Act funding get a tax subsidy. So the tax subsidy has been eliminated.
Yeah.
With the elimination of the tax subsidy, what happens is then it's just 400% of poverty, and then then there's no subsidy at all for the people who get the Affordable Care Act otherwise. And that's been a goal of the Trump administration to eliminate the Affordable Care Act. Back in the day, they had his first term, they had approximately 40 votes to eliminate the Affordable Care Act, but they failed every single time it came before Congress and the Senate. And so this is now his way of doing it by taking the Affordable Care Act and getting rid of the business expenditure subsidies, and so that is going away under the Senate, the big bill that was passed July 4th, and then that is something that one of the reasons that the Democrats have gone into voting not allowing them continuing with the continuing resolution, and they've shut the government down because they want people to know what's going to happen to their health insurance. And one of the things that this is a bipartisan situation because just yesterday, Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of the most vociferous supporters of President Trump, discovered her children were going to have their health insurance go up to about $20,000 more a year for their health insurance. And so she said wants to go back into session. She says the shutdown is the Republicans' fault, and she wants to make sure the subsidies continue for the Affordable Care Act. And that's just one aspect. The other thing that when you take a peek at this, and I don't mean to hog the
it's an important issue.
But the other thing is the fact that here in this town we're about 24,000 people, and I know that you've mentioned this, and I've mentioned this to everybody here before, and that we have about 13,800 people in the town of Wyndham who are on the Medicaid program, and that would be it could be the Medicare Savings Program. It's Husky A, B, C, and D, and then of course they're counting these other areas like the Affordable Care Act and the 400% reimbursement or subsidy rather with Medicaid, because the Affordable Care Act is a twofer. It's a tax exemption and it's Medicaid, so it's both. And just like you have Medicare Savings, that's Medicare and the subsidy for the fee-for-service, co-insurance and deductible subsidies for people within a certain income range. That's another place where people don't really realize that's Medicaid providing that subsidy. So, as you probably are aware, I could go on all day about these subsidies.
Yes, you could.
But the other thing is...
The sad part is there's so much to talk about, and that's the sad part.
That is the sad part.
Well
It's really
said,
going to affect families in our town.
Yes, but it will. And then, of course, the hospital. And the hospital is the other thing, because what happens is hospitals are under this control of a law that was passed under the Ronald Reagan administration called Emergency Medical Maternity and Delivery Act, EMTALA, of 1986. 2026. And what it does is it requires all hospitals, emergency rooms, to take people, whether they have money, no matter what the situation is, as long as they're in an emergency situation, they must take the person. Without the reimbursement that they could get from these people who are on Medicaid, who are on Medicare, that will be reduced as well because of the budget glitches that are in there that will also reduce the Medicare funding. They will be in a very serious situation. So our local rural hospital will be put in even more danger with these changes. But I will let you get back to the town business and, and talk about that some more.
I just can't avoid adding, though, also our community health center. So
Please,
Generations
yes,
Family
yes,
Health Center
yes.
and all the health centers that are a place where many people go who are living on a budget and or uninsured and
That's
can
right.
get care on a sliding scale basis. The health centers across the nation are going to be in a dire situation too. So you're right. We could have a whole show maybe in another few months about what's happening really with healthcare because what's going to start hitting the fan in the
Really?
next 2 months.
Oh yeah, it's going to be July 1st. January 1st. We're going to begin to think about the loss of some people already. We're already in a situation where we're losing food because there's
SNAP.
the excess. Well, not SNAP problems go into effect again in January, but I was just talking to Ray Armini in the soup kitchen, and they apparently are relying upon we have abundance of food left that they can utilize that gets donated to soup kitchens all over the state and all over the country, actually, because I was in a meeting with women from all over the country yesterday on these same issues, and they are that extra food that is donated to the soup kitchens is dwindling quickly, and it's not going to be available.
Yes. I help raise funds for the soup kitchen also.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, it's difficult to but I also have to give Kimberly Clark credit, who
Yes.
runs the soup kitchen, and that I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she takes a pound of spaghetti and makes it feed 40 people, 50 people, but she works wonders down there, and she's always manages to get the food. But as Ray Aramini has been saying over the air, we're shy 400 pounds of food a day, and
Right.
cuts are coming. This is before the cuts even start, folks.
That's right.
So, we're going to have to take care of our neighbors at some point. So that's another thing the town council has started looking at. We've started planning for what's to come.
Good.
Because as someone, close to me also told me, it's projected, it's not a guarantee, but it's projected that the state could lose as much as $13 billion from the federal budget cuts. So, that's things that we are going to have to deal with right here on a local level. And with this election coming up, and it's, this November 4th is extremely important for the town of Windham. Let me tell you that. You need to have experienced leadership. You need to have people who are up to and ready to lead this town and continue to lead this town. And what I'm going to say to you is this. These are serious times, folks, and these times require serious candidates, and the Democrats are giving you those serious candidates, and we need your support to get out there and win on November 4th, because when we win, the town wins.
Thank you, Bill. I was going to say something.
Go ahead. I'll go after you.
Okay,
If
thank
Susan
you,
lets me.
Dennis. I'll pass it to you when I'm done.
Pass me the baton.
Okay. I just really want to stress that on the November 4th ballot, and I've talked about this before with Susan and Dennis, there is a question on the ballot in addition to the candidates, and that is whether or not the voters of this town approve us moving forward to build a consolidated elementary school for the entire town of Windham. And when we are going to be facing tighter budgets, the taxpayers let us know that they didn't want to give us more money this year. The Board of Ed budget that got passed is a 0% budget. We are trying to figure out how to live within the means that we have and provide the quality education that the students and the families deserve and need in our town. And the Board of Ed is proposing to the townspeople that rather than operate 3 different elementary schools, and we closed one down, Wyndham Center School, earlier this year, rather than to continue to operate 3 different campuses and sink money into old buildings that are difficult to bring up to code and to provide students with the quality current needs that education has, we are proposing to use our resources more efficiently and operate one elementary school for all of our students. And that way, then, we're more apt to be able to take the things that are going well and replicate them in a new school and keep that up with a more centralized administration. We can save money on maintenance, and we can save money on fewer staff needed. We don't need certain cafeteria workers or custodial workers. We don't need to be plowing 3 different campuses. We'd only be taking care of one campus. Also, when we build a new school, we can meet the energy, standards of having alternative and other sources of energy at our schools to run them more efficiently. But most importantly, we really took a look at the different campuses and what their restrictions were and how we weren't really able to offer every child in our elementary school district the same quality education based on current standards for learning at the elementary school level. So we're doing what many towns around the state have done, is propose consolidating our elementary schools. And we're asking the voters to support this on November 4th. You have a chance to vote yes or no on this. And if we vote yes, we will move forward and build a brand new school. We will eventually close down the 3 other elementary schools in town and hand those buildings over to the town, and the town council can decide what they want to do with those buildings. But Susan Johnson and May Flexer have been very intrepid about getting us a very good reimbursement rate at the state level. We will have to spend up to $144 million on this new school, but with reimbursement from the state, it will be $28 million or so, we're predicting, at the local level, that will have to be bonded and paid out by the taxpayers over time. We really think it's a good bet for our town, and we think it's the most responsible fiscal and academic way to move forward for the children in our district. I'm going around town talking to any group who will have me about this. I spoke to the Rotary this last week. I'm talking to the NAACP in the coming week. I hope that if you have a civic group that would like to learn more about this issue, you can reach out to me, Lynne Ide. You can get me through the Board of Education website and ask me to come out. I'm happy to talk to you.
Very well said, Lynn. And I just wanted to go back to what we were talking about in terms of what Bill said about the election and how important it is to vote for the Democratic team with experience, with capability, with all kinds of accomplishments. And, there was a time when this show, Let's Talk About It, was the only evening talk show on the radio. That was a long time ago. That started a long time ago, about 25 years, actually. And I joined up later on, maybe 5 years later. And Susan was one of the originators of this show. But there was only one. But now, thanks to Art Robotham. Art Robotham. Gee, I don't want to mess up Art's name, but great guy. great addition to the WILI a few years ago. Done a lot of things, but he's added a whole lot of new shows. One of which is hosted by Bill Sayers, one of which is hosted by our producer, Matt Rupar, and I think it's time for Lynne to have her own show. He's the only one in the room who's not a host or a co-host. But I listen to the show sometimes, and I listen to Bill's show. Bill has a great show. Bill, what's the name of your show?
You're on the air with Bill Sayers.
On the air with Bill Sayers. You're on the air with Bill Sayers now.
That's right.
Along with Lynne Ide, Susan Johnson, and me, Dennis O'Brien, and Matt Rupar is in the room. But anyway, yesterday, because I finished a big week of work, I turned on my radio in the afternoon, and I heard one of the shows that came on before the Thursday night show with Ken Follin and Mark Doyle. And I heard a couple of Republican candidates for the town council speak about how because we're we need to cut have a minus zero budget next year, a minus zero budget, and that doesn't take, of course, that's not a good idea. Because we need to be frugal, there's no doubt about it. But with what we're going to have to cover, and I hope it doesn't come to pass. I hope somehow that the congressional Republicans and the congressional Democrats, move backwards on this, and do not cut Medicaid, do not cut food programs, do not hurt people all over this country. Anybody who's not a billionaire, frankly. I think if they don't do that, then we don't have to worry. But it doesn't seem likely that that's going to happen. It seems like what Bill said and what Lynne and Susan have been talking about is going to sadly happen. So for candidates for the town council when we are probably going to have financial responsibilities pushed down from the feds to the state to us, for them to come off saying, well, we want a decrease in the budget for next time. That is not wise. That is not a wise position to take. It is wise to be frugal. It is wise for us to do whatever we can to save as much money for the taxpayers as we can, as Lynne has suggested with the new school. But it is not a good idea for us to start talking right now about budget cuts to the extent that they mentioned on the Chris Reddy show, along with a couple of Republicans who are now serving on the town council.
Dennis, I hope I get a minute to respond to that when we come back.
Okay, we will. And we're going to come back right after these messages from our wonderful sponsors. And Matt Rupar is going to insist that I stop talking and we get off the air, and that we go.
Or he's going to cut you off.
No, he wouldn't do that. Well, he might. I usually do the cutting off here. And we're going to go to our wonderful sponsors, and we'll be right back with Lynne Ide, Bill Sayers, Susan Johnson, Matt Rupar, and me, Dennis O'Brien. Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Susan Johnson. I'm here with my co-host, Dennis O'Brien, and our very special guest today, Bill Sayers from the council and the chair of the Democratic Town Committee, and Lynne Ide, the chairman of the Board of Education. So we were having a nice chat. Dennis, did you want to resume your remarks?
I did, and I expected to bring us back, too, because usually we share that. You do the first and I do the second, but that's okay. We're back. We are back with a great group here. And I just wanted to say, to continue on with what I was saying, I wanted to say about the town council. The town council is doing a marvelous job under real difficult conditions. One of the great things that they've done, and Bill, you are a key member of the council. You're also, and nobody's mentioned yet, he's also the chair of the Windham Democratic Town Committee.
How many times did I say that?
And I know. You didn't say that.
I did too.
She always says I can't hear anything anymore.
It's true.
At any rate,
let me continue.
It's worth repeating.
Yes, thank you for that, Dennis. Thank you.
He's the hard-working chair of the Windham Democratic Town Committee, a position I once held for several years, and I know what a difficult job it is, and I know what a fulfilling job it is, because we are the party that really gets things done in this town, and. Again, listening to other shows, after the show I mentioned on the first part of on the first half of the show, I listened to the Ken Follin show, the Ken Follin Mark Doyle show. Mark Doyle was not present. On that show were Tom DeVivo and Bill Sayers as guests, and I'll tell you, you guys were great, and I'm really pleased with your decision, Bill. You were the one who prompted us to do this, to work hard along with another party for a first time. I don't think we've done this before, but to join with them in support of certain candidates. For example, the Bottom Line Party is supporting Tom DeVivo for mayor. They know what a great job he's done. They're also supporting
The new school.
the new school. Oh, absolutely. They are
very pro-education.
If I have disagreed with Mark and Ken on any issues over the years, I have never disagreed with them on education. I was very pleased to hear at the end of the show when Ken said that they are not MAGA Republicans. They are Republicans, but they are not MAGA Republicans.
Can I just interject a second?
Yeah, sure.
2 of the 6 candidates that are running on the bottom line are Republican. The other 4 are Democrats.
Right.
And Tracy
You're going to have trouble with that one.
Torahoney.
I thought it was more like Torero, but
No, it's Torahoney.
okay. I'm sorry.
She and her husband own Bacon Funeral Home.
Sorry, Tracy.
What an amazingly brilliant woman she is, and what
Yeah.
a great candidate she makes for Board of Finance.
Right.
So
we've got 5 great candidates for Board of
Oh,
Finance
gosh, yes.
already, but you can vote for up to 7, and she'd be a good choice for the 6th candidate. Anyway, I think that the that we have made, that you, Bill, have engineered as town chair to make with another party has been great. And one more thing I want to say about working together in a bipartisan way. I was, you mentioned the vote on Tuesday. I was so thrilled to see everybody on that town council come together and vote for a really important issue to try to move in the direction of having a new tech school in this town. It's not a sure thing, but it's a possibility now. And we have taken the first step in the right direction. And it was led by people like Bill Sayers and Tom DeVivo and Dawn Niles, who voted from Ireland, and other members of the town council. And that is great to see us all come together for something that's right. And that's what we need to do, folks, on November 4th. We need to all come together and support the new elementary school, as discussed earlier by Lynne.
So important, so important.
Okay, I've said my piece.
Thank
Right.
you.
I can leave now?
No.
Okay.
No, because I know that Bill wanted to follow up on some things about, in terms of his vision for how you run the government. And that was to make sure that when we talk about the budget, we talk about solutions.
Oh, yes. We have to have solutions. And, walk in there and say, we're going to cut. That wasn't the answer. We cut the budget big this year. Big. But what did we do? We directed the town manager to reorganize the government. And by reorganizing the government, we were able to live within the cuts that we made. Mm-hmm. Now, if this happens again next year, I don't know the answer. I don't. Right now, we have to look at things. And I'm going to tell you, I've been looking at the budget very hard, and I've been going over numbers. And I'm concerned that we're going to be in a deficit going into next year's budget negotiations. So that's something that we have to automatically start looking at. And we need smart people to handle these issues. And one of the things that I'm happy about is that the Democratic Town Committee, under the leadership of Bill Sayers and Lynne Ide, is starting to get more involved in the community. We had a great event at Willie Scoops. We had, we invited everybody down. We paid for free ice cream for everybody who came, and that's a good thing. We'll be on Main Street, literature free, to pass out candy on Halloween. Mm-hmm. And we look forward to seeing all the kids. On October 23rd, we're opening our headquarters and having a pizza dinner for anybody who wants to come down, 5 to 7.
Yeah, I hope people will come down because it's a chance for folks to meet the candidates in person.
You meet the Democrats. Come on down. It's a great night. And I'm just going to end my comment on this by saying it's been an honor to do both. be chair. I was nominated by the great Dennis O'Brien, and I'd love to do it again if the Democrats will have me. And I've also really enjoyed helping my neighbors by serving on the town council, because I found out it's a lot more than just going to a meeting once every 2 weeks. I get calls on a daily basis. Bill, this is going on. That's going on. Why did this happen? What's going on with this? Bill, come look at this house and tell me if you think that we have to live with the grass 3 feet tall and the weeds and everything else. So, I'm constantly meeting with people, and as I know the mayor is. I was in Hartford at one point, and I was in the state legislative building, and I was meeting with somebody, and I'm walking down the hall with this person, and I turn and look over, and there's Tom going in the opposite direction. We're in Hartford. We don't stay in Willimantic. We go to Hartford to meet with people, and because we're always asking for more money for Wyndham. We don't have to, because we have Susan Johnson and May Flexer, who do a superb job of that for us. But every now and then, we got to go up there and shake a hand and remind people we're still alive.
Well, I'm really thrilled to hear that, and I'm really always so pleased to see people from town come and talk to people at the Capitol, because it means a lot to us when we have support from people who are here and can talk about the things that we always talk about, but it's great to have people give that support. We really having to have that connection with our council, with our Board of Education, coming to the Education Committee meetings, coming to the Appropriations Committee meetings, coming to the meetings that deal with housing, coming to all these meetings. These are things hearing from our staff, hearing from our elected officials, hearing from the people in the community really, really means a lot when it comes time to vote on our bills and on the budgetary issues. So it's really, really great to have that kind of support from people and have the people there. So it means a lot.
I want to thank you, Susan, and May Flexer, both of you, as our delegates to the legislature, for representing this town so well and for really working exceptionally hard, 24/7, 365 days a week. It never seems to end. And you're always thinking about and working for the people in this town. I know that you support us doing something about our state tax and budget policy to deliver more for communities like ours. And I, too, am working in my current job with Connecticut Voices for Children, and we're going around the state having community events in 18 different cities over 18 months, talking to people about how our state tax and budget policy is not working as well as it could be to deliver resources for families and neighborhoods and communities, boards of ed, towns, and things of that sort. There are things that we could do to recalibrate our fiscal controls and loosen up resources, existing resources,
Right.
For our communities. And given what the federal government is handing down to the states and to the municipalities at this point, it's more important than ever. I know that you and May will work for that. I'm disappointed, quite frankly, in our governor and his unwillingness to do more. I'm hoping that when they go into special session up at the Capitol, which I'm hearing now they're going to do probably in the middle of November.
13th and 14th.
Right. That our governor will start to come around when he hears stories from people at the community level about what is happening.
Let me just say something about that, because one of the things we must really fully understand, the fiscal guardrails were put into effect that have hurt our towns and have accumulated a wonderful amount of money to pay off pension debt. And let's just back up for a minute, back into the 90s when Weicker was the governor. Mm-hmm. He put into the Constitution our spending cap. But the spending cap can be regulated by the legislature. And for all those years that he was in office, he never paid the bills. He didn't pay. So when we finally took over with Governor Malloy, we had more than $100 million in debt that was owed right away. I mean, and so we had no rainy day fund. We didn't have anything. Governor Malloy paid the bills like he was supposed to under the law and the executive orders. Roland never did that. Okay, just the facts.
No,
so
I agree.
So then we get into 2017, and what do we have? We have a 50-50 Senate, half Republican, half Democrats. And what did they do? They said, "Oh, we're going to put fiscal guardrails in." So they didn't just put the spending cap in; they put in things like a bonding cap, a revenue cap, a volatility cap. And one of the things that they did that was really spot on, that I really agree with, was they wanted to make sure that any time, every single year, that we have to pay our debt. And we have to make sure that we pay that debt service, which is absolutely correct. But what we're talking about, and what I think you're talking about as well through Voices of Children, is that fiscal guardrail system is really great for the wealthy communities, but it really hurts communities where the cost of the low-income population is shifted to have us manage all the things when the towns around us don't do the work that we do. We actually have, as I say over and over again, 3 homeless shelters. Only 17 towns in the whole state have a homeless shelter. The rest of the towns don't have it. We have more public housing here on a per capita basis than anywhere else in the state of Connecticut except for Hartford. So we don't get any payment in lieu of taxes for that, yet we have the students from those places in our school system, so they cost more money without the benefit of property taxes. And of course, you could even go back farther, back where we lost our manufacturing, which was a big tax base. And that was something that, we lost because of who? Ronald Reagan. He got rid of the tax base for the manufacturing, and we're still suffering from that. And the only reason I only talk about the things we're still suffering from, I'm not trying to pick on Ronald Reagan or Roland.
Oh, come on, pick on him. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that
Come
we suffer those consequences, and the Democrats who have been in control haven't really fully recognized what's happened in manufacturing towns like this, like Hartford, New Haven, Bridgeport, Waterbury, all those places. I said New Britain, and
I didn't hear New Britain. Come on.
And they have lost that tax base, and then they go, "Gee, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with us is we lost the tax base, and nobody's helped us out with it."
Well, I agree with what you just said, Susan, and I also just want to add that because those guardrails or controls have been productive and helped us pay off debt,
Yes.
which we needed to do.
Yep.
But they are not designed in a way that would allow. So because they're poorly designed, we've left $1.8 billion on the table over the past couple of years that could have been invested in our communities, in our schools, in our healthcare systems, in our families. And now that this debacle is happening, this tragedy is happening, coming down from the federal government.
That's right.
It is all the more important that our state legislature work with the governor to come to some agreement over the next 18 months on how we address this issue without leaving $1.8 billion on the table.
And that's exactly
that money should be out in our community.
That is exactly
I could
what.
figure out how to spend it.
Yeah, I'm sure you could, but what we need to do, and one of the things when the governor was so adamant about the fiscal guardrails, and he talked, and I went and I was talking to him, and he said, well, we are going to do this fiscal guardrail for 10 years. I go, oh no, I said, I don't support that. He says, well, we made a deal. I says, well, you didn't ask me, and so and so I went to work, and we made it only 5 years. So
Right.
now we're going to come up on a time when we can
We can
redo that.
reconsider.
But the thing is, he said to me during that conversation, he says, if you get enough people, I'll change it. But you got to have the voice of the people. We need to have, we want to push the governor. It's got to be the people saying, and it's got to be a big group. It can't just be a few of us. It's got to be all different parts of the state. We got to say loud and clear to the governor, please work with us so that we're not shifting these costs to our towns, and that the people who can pay for these things actually, are going to pay a little bit more. And then we can stop the shift to the local communities.
Well, we shall see.
Well, this has been a great discussion, and always when we get together with this group, and there are lots of things that we didn't get to cover. But
we need a couple days.
The remedy for that is this is not going to be the last time that we get this group together before the election. We're going to do this again. I mean, we're booked up through the end of this month, but after that, we have more open shows. Ray Aramini's going to be on next week from the Soup Kitchen, and Bill, you may want to stop by and be with him. You talk to Ray about it. But anyway, we are gonna come back with this group again. There's a lot more to be said. I'd like to talk a lot about the wonderful candidates for the town council incumbents that are running along with Bill, and the wonderful candidates that are running for the Board of Finance and also the Taxing District Board.
Consider it this. Go out and vote line A and line E. And I can promise you a great government.
They will do the very best that anyone can with our town. Thank you so much. I think our show has reached an end. This is Dennis O'Brien with Lynne Hyde, Bill Sayers, Susan Johnson, Matt Rupar. Again, we will be back next week with another great show with Ray Aramini.